Hey guys, what's up? This is Behind the Dice, and I know I'm a little late on this, but I just kind of want to give my first impressions on the newly spoiled Darth Vader from FFG and Star Wars Destiny. Um, First things first, if you haven't already, Jacobin Games has created proxies for these cards. So if you use a tabletop simulator, you can go download the proxies off their websites and try out these new cards, which is what I've been doing this past week. Um, so gameplay videos, I intend to make some gameplay videos with new Vader. I've just been doing some test runs with different decks, and yeah, I want to give you my first impressions of the character and of these cards that were spoiled by FFG last week. So, um, at first glance, 15 health, 23 for elite. His die sides are just insane. 2 melee, 3 melee, 4 for a buck, 2 shields, 2 resources, and a blank. Everything except the blank is useful. 2 resources is awesome if you're saving up for a Rise Again play or trying to get a high cost upgrade onto Vader. Another thing that I really like about his design is 15 health for 23 elite. Now, when you think about it, uh, Palpatine 1 is 15 health for 28 elite. So, the health to cost value feels very good. Feels pretty high, and I actually really like it. Um, so obviously, if you're running Vader, you're either going to run him with a 7 costed character or 6 costed character, which right now are only the Jawas. Unless there's some kind of negative plot, which was already spoiled. But I mean, blue negative plot. We'll see. Um, it looks like he'll be if you're running with another character, which right now feels recommended only because you get more health. It would be with a 7 cost character. So first character that comes to mind is a First Order Stormtrooper, single die Greedo. I believe Bazine. Yeah, so I tried him with Stormtrooper with red. It seemed to work pretty well, but right now I'm kind of leaning towards Vader and single die Greedo only because I think yellow villain cards are a lot better than red villain cards. Um, Especially in the removal wise, and also you get cards like Darksaber that can be pretty ferocious on Vader, especially with its ability and Vader's point cost. So right now, yellow feels very good with Vader. We'll see what other characters and what other plots and upgrades are released in the Across the Galaxy set. But yeah, I mean, he hits really hard, has a good amount of health. But the thing that is really catching everyone's eye is his power action. And I'll read it for you. If one or more of this character's character dice were removed during an opponent's last turn this round, discard a card from your hand to roll those dice into your pool. Um, yeah, so basically a really not perfect, but really good counter to removal. One of the biggest problems with running a very high costed character, Mace Windu comes to mind, Vader 1 comes to mind, uh, both Palpatines, is that their dice are very easily removed, and you're not really getting any value out of those 20 or more costed dice. Um, New Vader changes that. You can roll them back in if you discard a card. Now, obviously, discarding a card um, isn't very good, especially if you have good synergy in your deck and you don't want to get rid of certain cards. But it almost feels worth it because you have a 50% chance of hitting significant damage, even if it's just the 2. So it's anti-mitigation, and I really like it. It's bringing balance to some things. Um, this card feels very fair. I think its die is very fair for 23 for a 23 cost. It's worth playing this character, and I think value wise, you get very good value, health to cost also. So Really neat design. I think this is going to do some really good things for the game. And I'm really excited to see what people come up with in Darth Vader decks. Now, will we have solo Vader decks? Vader Greedo. We'll also see what other characters are coming out in the next set. So I'm very excited. Um, Played a couple games with him already, and he get some upgrades on him, man. He hits ridiculous damage. So very exciting stuff. So we've had some other cards spoiled here by Fantasy Flight Games, and it is about time we have Darth Vader's lightsaber. And oh man, you thought Maul Saber was rough. This thing is pretty ridiculous. So, and the fact that it only costs 3. So it costs 3. Um, Unique villain upgrade weapon. It has a 1 base damage side melee, a +2 melee, +3 melee, +4 melee, 2 shields, and a blank. This is a very good, just from a design standpoint for a lightsaber. It makes sense. It does damage. It can defend with the shield side. So from a pure design standpoint as a lightsaber, I really like its design. But if we read its ability here, after you resolve this die, you may spend 1 resource to roll one of attached character's character dice into your pool. Then if this upgrade is on Darth Vader, deal 1 damage to a character. Now that's key, because this card is incentivizing you to play it on Darth Vader, because it can do more things if it's on Vader. That's one of the biggest complaints with Maul Saber, is that it didn't matter if it was on Maul or not. It did the same thing, but because Vader's lightsaber is on Vader, you can deal another damage to a character, and that's very, very good. So if we look at the first part of the ability, after you resolve this die, you may spend 1 resource to roll 1 of attached character's character dice into your pool. You can get multiple uses out of Vader's die, and that's scary. That's very, very scary, especially if it gets removed and you power action, and then you do this ability. You know, we're looking at some very, very heavy damage here. If this upgrade is on Vader, if you're running a Vader deck, I feel like you almost have to hard mulligan for this guy, because it's so important on Vader. It works perfectly well, and its die side is insane. You hit that free 3 on Vader and the +4 on this. I mean, we're really cooking, and I really love this upgrade. I think it's so much better than Maul Saber in so many ways, and it works from a thematic standpoint because you get more use out of it if it's on Darth Vader, and that's really awesome. So moving on, we have a support card here, Vader's Fist, and I'm actually really excited. I wanted them to make a Vader's Fist card for a while now. It is a 5 cost support with the Trooper label there on it. The dice size we can see is 3 ranged, 3 range for a resource, 3 indirect, 4 indirect for a resource, 3 disrupt, and I'm pretty sure that 6th side is a resource or 2 resources or something, if I remember correctly. I forget. It's covered in this particular picture here, but I mean, as a card, like it hits heavy. Well, actually, if we look at the ability here, after you play the support, you may roll this die into your pool, so you're getting some nice speed with it, and then it's power action, roll this die into your pool, spot Darth Vader to turn this die to any side. So, if you're playing this in a Vader deck, I mean, it has really good dice sides, and from a value standpoint, you can roll this die into your pool multiple times. Especially if you're playing this with Darth Vader, you can then turn it to any side, so it can deal some heavy damage. The big question is, do you put this in the deck in place of a card like Rise Again, or another high costed event or upgrade? Do you put this card in there instead? I'm very interested to see how people use this. I mean, if you get it out, it can be very, very deadly if you're able to pull this off. I really like the card. Um, I think it might be a little difficult to get out, but if you're able to pull that off, it can be quite the game changer. So I really like Vader's Fist. A really, really neat card there. Moving down, we have some events, and oh, am I very excited about these events here. The first one, besides, is probably my favorite event of this of the suite here is Fear and Dead Men, which by the way is a great line in a Vader comic, I do believe. Yeah, it's there on the bottom. So let's see what this event does. It costs 2. Resolve one of your dice showing melee damage for free. That's key, for free against each of an opponent's characters. So clearly, this card, you get full value from this card if you're going up against a 3 wide or 4 wide deck build. So if you roll out that 4 and you spend the extra resource for Fear and Dead Man, you're going up against a 3 wide deck, you're doing 12 damage for 12 damage for 2 resources. That's insane. That is really good. I mean, this deck can really, really change the course of a game, can really change the tide of a game, and I think that is really awesome. Um, especially if you're going against a deck with Gungans or, especially other low-costed characters, this deck can really, really change the course of a game. Really cool design, like a perfect answer to these 3 wide, 4 wide decks, because if you're going up against decks like that, the value is insane. Even if you're going up against a deck build with only 2 characters, you're still doing 8 damage for 2 resources on one of your dice. So, or, I mean, that's assuming you roll out the 4. Obviously, you can do 6 if you roll the 3 or whatever, but most people are going to want to go for that big play when you roll out the 4 on Vader's die. So yeah, very cool card. I'm very excited about Fear and Dead Men. The next event we have here is Deadly Advance. Count the number of exhausted characters your opponents have. Turn up to that many of your dice aside showing melee damage. So, Deadly Advance feels a lot more situational. Because if you draw this card late and your opponent is down to 1 character, the value for 2 resources doesn't feel very good. Maybe in a more desperate move you do it, but in that case it might turn into discard fodder, especially if you don't have the resources. But if you decide to put Deadly Advance in your deck and you're playing up an opponent with 3 characters, 3 wide, and you're able to pull this off, again, it can be a game changer like Fear and Dead Men. I think Fear and Dead Men you get incredible value out of because it's a lot less situational than Deadly Advance is, but if you're able to pull off Deadly Advance, it's just one of those cards that can really change the course of a game. It's just, I wonder if we're going to be able to find room in a deck with this. I would love to see people pull it off. I've been testing it out. I haven't really been able to use it as to its full advantage. I've had to discard to reroll it a bunch of times to reroll dice. So Deadly Advance is an interesting concept here. I really, really, I really hope that this gets used. It's just it's very situational, so we'll see. All right, our next event, and I believe is the last one. Yes, it's the last event of the suite here. Endow. It's a 1 costed villain event, blue. Play any number of blue upgrades from your hand on one of your blue characters, paying each of their costs. Then roll each of those upgrade dice into your pool. If we're talking from a pure value standpoint, it feels like this would work very well with force speeds or holocrons or 0 costed upgrades or 1 costed upgrades. So in situations like that, I can see how this card can be very good. It's just if you somehow have the resources to use this from a high value standpoint and play a couple upgrades on there, then you did something very, very right. But this card feels more intended for the low to no costed upgrades like the 4 speeds, like the Sith holocrons, upgrades like that. So I think used in the right combo here, Endow can be very, very good. Again, I just wonder how much room people are going to have in their decks for this particular event. But I can see some really cool combos with it. So this was the Darth Vader spoilers from Fantasy Flight Games. I know I'm a little late on this, but I just want to give you my first impressions after playing with basically all these cards a couple times. I really, really like where Vader's going. I really like his design. I really like what he can potentially do for the game, and bring really big characters back into the game, because he seems, him and a lot of his events and upgrades that are in this suite seem to have answers to things that could cripple Vader and make him not that good. So we'll see how he works when rotation hits. We'll see how he works when Across the Galaxy drops. I'm very excited about this. I think he's a very cool character. He's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll see how this goes. So, thank you for watching this video here on Behind the Dice. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, and I hope to see you in the next Star Wars Destiny video. This is Behind the Dice, and I'll see you later.